Hey everyone, I'm Ferdinand and I'm the Gathering Director here at the River Church at our Holly location. Thanks for checking out one of our messages today. We would love to get connected with you and your family. One easy way to do that is to text River Connect, one word, to 97,000, or you can visit our website at theriverchurch.cc to learn more about us and our upcoming events. If you'd like to give to the River Church today, you can text the amount you want to give to 84321, or you can visit our website and click the Give tab at the top of the page. Thanks again for joining us, and we hope you enjoyed the message today.
We are in week number 2 of a series called Upper Room. Upper Room is the gathering area of Jesus' disciples in his final moments before laying his life down on the cross. Jesus is gathered with his disciples, and last week we talked through him encouraging them, spurring them, commanding them to love one another the way Christ loved the church. And that's what we preached through last week. But this week we're going to be in John chapter 14. So if you have a Bible, a device, something along the lines, I always encourage you to read along. So if you have something, John 14, we're going to look at the first 7 verses this morning as we really look at week number 2 of the Upper Room. John 14, 1 through 7. All right. Verse 1 says, "Let not your hearts be troubled. Believe in God, believe also in me. In my Father's house there are many rooms. If it not were so, I would I have told you that I go to prepare a place for you. And if I go and prepare a place for you, I will come again and will take you to myself, that where I am, you may be also. And you know the way to where I am going." Thomas said to him, "Lord, we do not know where you are going. How can we know the way?" Jesus said to him, "I am the way, the truth, and the life. No one comes to the Father except through me. If you had known me, you would have known my Father also. From now on, you do know him and have seen him." Would you join me in prayer? God, we come to you. We ask that you speak this morning. We ask that you work through your word, God. Just this amazing passage. It's an amazing look at your caring, fatherly, lovingly tone, speaking into the lives of your disciples face to face, but even speaking into the lives of your disciples some 2,000 years later. God, we seek to follow you, knowing the way, the truth, and the life is only through you, God. God, speak through my words this morning. Help me to articulate what your Spirit has, God. We love you. We praise you. In Jesus' wonderful name, amen. I was texting with a buddy earlier today, and I don't know, I tend to be an anxious person. I know maybe you don't know that about me, know that about me. I can get anxious, and so I overanalyze. And I tend to be a bit of a control freak, and so when I lose control, it makes me more anxious. Does that fit anybody else in the room? Okay, all right, just a couple of us, right? It's an interesting thing. I tend to really, really okay, I've got to over-examine this and build and worry. I was texting him about the bank run in California, and will that happen this week, and all this dynamic. I'm like, man, I just want to know. I just want to know what's going on. I want to know what the future steps are. And when I don't know, I feel uncomfortable, and I get anxious, and I get really worried, and I start to sweat. Do I look like that right now? Right? You think I'm kidding, but that's in my life. I preached a message years ago on prepping. Are we prepping for the return of Christ? But it's interesting how they're prepping. There's processes of prepping for the world we live in. It's interesting. I don't know about you, but for somebody that gets over anxious or gets worried or feels overwhelmed, turning on the television can feel really overwhelming. And you begin to see and read articles, and you see the fears, the anxieties, the weights of the world, and they can be crushing. They can absolutely be crushing. I know many sitting in this room today or joining us online or wherever you find yourself, I say the word anxiety and you get anxious. It just can feel overwhelming. Jesus in John chapter 14 is speaking to a room filled with anxious people. I know it's not a far stretch, and maybe this is too personal for you this morning, but I believe I'm speaking to a room full of anxious people. It just seems like culturally, it's society is spiraling, and you're going, okay, where and when? All right, come, Lord Jesus, come. I'm ready, right? But you don't know when those next steps are. You don't know about what the stock market looks like. You don't know about what housing and interest rates. And you don't know about government. You don't know about a potential another pandemic. You're like, man, are you just trying to make me anxious? No, I'm just speaking the truth this morning. Because that's the reality that we put in the blender of our lives. And the output produces anxiety. But Jesus speaks directly to that. In John chapter 14, verse 1, he says, "Let not your hearts be troubled." Jesus is speaking directly to his disciples. He's looking at them, he's seeing their faces. He's not demonstratively like, hey, don't be troubled. No, he's in a fatherly, lovingly tone saying, hey, I know Judas just ran out the room. I know that I said many of you would run away. I know all these things. But guess what? Let not your hearts be troubled. In a tone, specific, caring, loving. Jesus is making the statement in the final moments before the cross, knowing that his followers were anxious, worried, overwhelmed. That word troubled literally means let your heart shudder. Shuddering of the overwhelming anxiety that they were feeling, knowing that, okay, this is really confusing. I know you said you were going to give your life, but I just didn't really expect that it was going to happen. And then now I've got to be the torchbearer. What's actually happening? And now we're all sitting in this room, and one of us has left, and I'm not sure where to go, what to do. Their world literally was crumbling around them. I gotta imagine they perceived that Jesus was going to build a kingdom. He was going to build this big ministry. He was going to build this. And now in the final moments, they were going, what? That's actually not going to happen? Now you're going to leave us? I just don't know if I can do this. I'm sure many of them felt engulfed by darkness. That all was lost. The last 3 years that they spent with this incredible teacher, prophetic man, and now he was, what? You're going to leave us? How? I don't understand. But Jesus, then the implication not just is, hey, when your hearts are troubled, he says, I know that your hearts are troubled. I could see it in your face. I could see it in your eyes. I can see it by your posture sitting in the room. What's great about that, and we're going to get to this in a little bit, is he's not only talking to his followers in the room, he's speaking to you. Don't let your heart be troubled. Don't be shuddered by the things of this world. I'm so grateful that Jesus identifies that, knows the feeling responses, the reality that would be upon us. The Bible is filled with passages. 1 Peter 5:7, one of my favorite, casting all your anxieties on him because he cares for you. Joshua 1:9, have I not commanded you, be strong and courageous. Do not be frightened, do not be dismayed, for the Lord your God is with you wherever you go. This is a common theme. I think in humanity, we tend to second guess. We tend to need exactly the footsteps. We need to know the identity of, okay, where's it going? How's it going to happen? All right, God, your time. As soon as I know that and understand that, then I will move. Rather than in faith, step out and trust. God, I know you have this. I may not see the outcome. I may not even like where I'm currently at, but I know and can trust you in and through it. Jesus is very much so encouraging his disciples. Persist in the faith. persist. But I'm so grateful he didn't just stop there. Hey, don't feel anxious. Don't be troubled. All right, let's move on to the next topic. No. He gives a walkout explanation of why and how that we can overcome the anxieties, the overwhelming feelings of this world. And that's so crucial. The first, really, John 14, 1 through 6, 7, really encapsulate that as believers, for us as understanding or good medicine for our hearts that feel overwhelmed. Can how many of you would just say, honestly, I feel overwhelmed a lot of times by the things of this world? Anybody? Okay, so keep your hand up, keep your hand up, keep your hand up. All right, look around. Okay? You're not alone in here. All right, well, if you're at home by yourself, you're alone. But okay? All right, there was other hands, trust me, all right? But John 14:1 says, let not your hearts be troubled. And then he responds, believe in God, believe also in me. Jesus walks through and says, hey, let not your heart be troubled. Why? Trust that I have a plan. That is the first and foremost understanding for the anxiety, the overwhelming things of this world. Trust that God has a plan. Believe that God is working all things together for your good, for those that are called according to his purposes, as Romans 8:28 says. You can trust God, he says. You can trust in me. I was doing a little research this week. It's disputed how many promises are in the Bible. There's a lot of them. I think we can say I came across a number there were 7,487 God-made promises to man. I've heard pastors get them and go, there's 365 promises, one for each and every single day of our lives. Now, there's a lot more than that, biblically speaking. But an effective guide against having a troubled heart is to trust Jesus, that he is who he says he is and will do what he says he'll do. I'm going to say that again because that is so imperative for us dealing with anxieties, dealing with the overwhelming things of this world. Very much that he's speaking to his disciples. Hey, I said that I'm going to do this. I said that I'm going to come back. I said it. I promised it. I spoke it. Now believe that what I said is true. See, an effective guard against having a troubled heart or an anxious heart is to trust Jesus, that he is who he says he is and will do what he says he will do. See, I think one of the greatest playgrounds the devil plays with us is this concept called doubt. We begin to question. You can go all the way back to Genesis chapter 2 and Genesis 3. Adam and Eve in the garden, they begin to doubt that God said what he said he said. And I think for many of us, we find ourselves in idle spots in our lives or dealing with a difficult situation, and those moments of doubt slide in. And we'll talk about Thomas in a little bit. Man, the guy makes one mistake, he's called Doubting Thomas, the rest of humanity. I kind of unfair, right? I always struggle with that. I'm like, man, it's cool. At least he was honest. But that doubt slides in, and then we begin to allow the devil, we allow the enemy to slide in and begin to question, okay, did God really say that? Now, can I trust his word to be true? Can I believe that Jesus says that he'll never leave me or forsake me? Can I believe that he says he's working all things together for my good? Can I believe that? Because it doesn't feel like the reality of the things in my world, the reality of the results of what I perceive don't feel like that. And then what happens for many of us, hand included, doubt slides in. And then we look at God and go, are you sure? Man, I don't know, God, are you sure? Maybe a pastor's not supposed to admit that, but I don't care. It is what it is. But that's the realities of some that deal with that overwhelming, anxious feeling when you have to deal with a difficult conversation. You have to deal with a difficult outcome in our lives. And then you look back and go, okay, God, are you sure? I mean, I know you said that, but it just doesn't feel that way. So you've heard me say it. I probably say this verse just about every week, maybe every other week. It's my life verse, Proverbs 3, 5, and 6. I probably have to remind myself of it weekly just so I can understand and trust God. Trust in the Lord with all your heart and lean not on your own understanding. In all your ways acknowledge him, and he will make straight your paths. Trusting in God, seeing the direction and understanding that God is who he says he is. That we can trust him. I'm teaching on Wednesday nights out of the book of Ecclesiastes. This is a free plug for men. We meet at the Hymn House. In case you're looking for a group to get together, we meet at 6:45, okay? Dinner every week, all right? It's good stuff. We're walking through Ecclesiastes chapter 3. And my messages don't normally tie together, but we were walking through the Ecclesiastes chapter 3 this week. And then I'm working through this and I'm going, oh my goodness, how tightly correlated are these concepts that Solomon in Ecclesiastes chapter 3 says he has made everything beautiful in its time. And he has put eternity into man's heart, yet so that he cannot find out what God has done from the beginning to the end. In its time, in God's time. That doesn't equate to Caleb's time. I want Caleb's time because Caleb's time makes more sense and I have control of it. Rather than God's time, I have to wait patiently and say, God, I trust you patiently. I don't know about you, but that's very difficult to do. You're like, man, you're pretty emphatic. No, this is a reality. I've been excited about preaching this message all week because it just speaks directly to our lives. As human beings, as followers of Christ, as the church, man, in God's time means it's his plan, it's his purpose, it's his timing, and he's never late. He's not late. We may perceive him as showing up late. We may perceive him as, okay, he may show up when he'll get there. No. God's on time 100% of the time. You can look historically, biblically, you can look at even in our lives. We look back at hindsight and go, man, God, you were doing things I didn't even see or understand. And it's amazing to look back and see how you were working and I didn't even know it. I don't know about you, but I can point to moment after moment in my life where I was hard-headed. I thought that I had the right plan and God's plan was different. And it was frustrating. It was frustrating to think, okay, God, are you sure? Rather than find ourselves in those moments of despair, in those moments of feeling our hearts shudder, being troubled, believe in God. Trust me. Believe also in me. See, trust is an interesting concept. But for us as believers, it's the cornerstone, it's the basis of our walk with God. Hebrews 11:1, faith is the substance of things not seen, things hoped for. And for us is, man, I can't very much see the very face of God in this moment of this life, but I can trust that he is good and he is who he says he is. So Jesus references in John 14:1, believe in me, believe also in me, believe in God. But then he then takes it one step further. I think the first for us in that moment of anxiety or troubled of our hearts is, okay, believe God, trust God. All right, I'm walking out with that. All right, in those moments of despair, in those moments of anxiety, trust God, trust God, trust God. All right, I got it. But then in verse 2 and 3, he paints a picture for us. Verse 2, he says, in my Father's house, is a reference to heaven. This is not the temple or the church. This is a reference to eternity. There are many rooms. If it were not so, would I have told you that I go to prepare a place for you? And if I go and prepare a place for you, I will come again and will take you to myself, that where I am, you may be also. Jesus is pointing to the future, pointing towards hope. He's pointing towards heaven. But it's more than just simply pointing towards heaven. That is, he's sitting at the Last Supper. He's sitting at the table with his disciples. It's more than that. Hey, don't be troubled. Believe that what I said is true. Now live heavenly focused. Live eternally focused. Live with a focus on heaven. That what is eternal is the most important things of this life. What's crazy is many of us live earthly focused. My job, my 401k, my house, my car, none of those are bad things, okay? None of those are bad things. But if they become the priority over eternal things, then they may be bad. They may become bad. We make them idols. Consumerism. For us as Christians, and I would make it even more specific, us as Americanized Christians, we like, oh man, I gotta have this, I gotta drive this, I gotta sit in this, I gotta watch this, all that dynamic. You know what? God did give us a lot of blessings to enjoy in this life, but if they are the sole focus and the priority of our lives, man, we are messed up. We're misaligned with what God has for us. He looks at his disciples. In those moments of anxiety, believe that what I said, and then guess what? Focus on eternity, not of the things of this earth. Man, Paul was a great character of that in the New Testament. He describes all the different things and dynamics that happened to him. Shipwrecked, beaten, stoned, all these crazy things. But he had an eternal focus that they could not do anything to me in this life that would hold me back from looking at heaven. That ultimately, that is my focus, that is my identity. You notice how I didn't say, it didn't mean just sit back in our chairs, cross our legs and go, okay, come Lord Jesus, come. This world around us, and they need to go to hell. Like, wow, that seems a little heavy. No, that's how Christians sit back. Like, okay, I'm good. I've had enough. I'm ready to go to heaven. No. Paul was still here on a mission to be the light, to spread the gospel. But for us as Christians is to live for eternal things, not the things of this earth. Revelation chapter 21, we're going to get into that in a few weeks as we preach through Revelation throughout the summer. But Revelation 21 gives us a picture, gives us some details, some measurements of the great city of heaven. But do we live? I texted some of the staff yesterday. I think I got it in my pocket. I don't know if you ever went to, how many of you ever went to VBS before when you were a kid? Vacation Bible School. Anybody? Okay, a couple of you. Some of you guys are like, what are you talking about? So VBS, every Vacation Bible School that I've ever gone to makes these bracelets. Right? How many of you have ever made one of these before? All right, a lot of you, all right? Makes these bracelets. I did not make this one. It's out of order, in case you're wondering, all right? So I texted some of the staff and said, hey, I'm looking for one of these bracelets. And so it's a great picture of the bracelets. It talks about the blood of Christ. It talks about how we were dark with sin and then washed white as snow, and then the blue is for baptism. It's great pictures. But there's the bead on here. That's gold, okay? It's a gold bead. What's this represent? Anybody know what this represents? Come on, what's this represent? Heaven. It represents heaven. That gold bead represents heaven. Honestly, if I said I probably made hundreds of these in my life, it's probably accurate. I don't know if I realistically ever truly looked at the gold bead the correct way. You're like, really? Yeah, I always looked at it and go, okay, man, that's great. The streets of gold. That's great. No. Putting this on our wrist or wherever you wear it. It's a reminder for us to live eternally focused, heavenly focused. God, I am focused not on the anxieties. I'm not focused on what the news is going to say tomorrow. I'm not focused on what Wall Street's doing. I'm not focused on what the president says. I'm not focused on any of those things. I'm focused on eternity, knowing that one day I will see my Father face to face in eternity, walking the streets of gold, living where there's no pain, no hurt, no tears, knowing that one day I can look forward to eternity. There's nothing in this world that can bring me anxiety beyond that. See, that's the reality if we look at the beat correctly. No, we're not making a craft today. Some of you guys are hoping so. But Jesus is telling his disciples, don't feel troubled. Believe that what I said is true. Believe in me. And I'm going to heaven to prepare a place. Some of your Bibles may say that I'm going to prepare. In my Father's house, there are many mansions. I wanted to deal with that. In my Father's house, I read the ESV, which says rooms. Some of your translations may dwellings, abiding places. But this is not an episode of Cribs, in case somebody my age knows what Cribs is, all right? Some of you guys are like, it's not an episode of Cribs. Some of you, it's not an episode of House Hunters, HGTV, love it or list it, okay? It's not walking around the streets of gold going, oh man, I like the patio on that one. I want the porch on that one. That's got the hot tub in the back. It's going to bring more value to that house. I want that. That's not what this is describing, okay? You're like, man, I got a mansion. No, that's not what this is describing. See, that word is only used twice in the Bible. Here and in John 14:23, where Jesus describes a home or dwelling together. But it's not a structure that Jesus is describing, but it's a picture of God being with us as he is preparing a place for you and I. It's a great picture of the bride and the groom as the groom prepares a place for his bride, the church. I read this quote by Colin Kruse. When Jesus said, I'm going to prepare a place for you, we should not think of him returning to heaven, having arrived there, setting up about the construction of rooms for his disciples to occupy. A task he has now been occupied with for some 2,000 years. Rather, we should recognize that it was by his very going, by his betrayal, crucifixion, and exaltation, that he made it possible to dwell in the very presence of God. See, don't get caught up in what the house is going to look like. Get caught up in who is there. He's there. The Bible says to be absent with the body, be present with the Lord. And so for us as believers, we get to have that intimate all the way back to the garden, walking and talking with the very creator of all things, where God says, I want to dwell with you. I want to sup with you. I want to live with you. I want to have a relationship with you. I want to spend eternity with you. Don't get caught up in, oh man, mansion's not big enough. Can you get back to construction? I wrote this down. I don't know how theological it is, but it really is. It said, I'd rather be a homeless man in heaven than have a mansion in hell. It doesn't matter where I lay my head as long as I am with Jesus. That's the truth, church. Now, there's no homeless men in heaven, okay? You have a place, and there's no mansions in hell. But the statement is clear. Man, I just want to be where Christ is. See, having a deep, underlying heart realization that there is an eternal dwelling for us will rest to our souls in the midst of this troubled world. Man, knowing that I have a place, knowing that I'm going to spend eternity, I don't care what happens to me in this world, I'm eternally focused. Man, that puts a damper or destroys anxiety or overwhelming feelings. Psalm 84:10 says, for a day in your courts is better than 1,000 elsewhere. I'd rather be a doorkeeper in the house of my God than dwell in the tents of wickedness. Philippians 3:20, but our citizenship is in heaven. From it we await a Savior, the Lord Jesus Christ. Colossians 3:2, set your minds on things above, not on earthly things. Jesus continues. I got to hurry up. I'm way behind. John 14, 3 through 4. And if I go to prepare a place for you, I will come again and take you to myself, that where I am, you may be also. And you know the way to where I am going. Jesus says, hey, I'm coming back. I'm coming back. There is a day that I am coming back. We're going to talk a little bit about that in Revelation. Get caught in the, well, is he coming pre-trib, mid-trib, post-trib? Guess what? One thing we know for a fact, Jesus is coming back. That's hope, that's encouragement, that's strength. That puts anxiety, overwhelming feelings to rest. That I know my Father is going to return. No matter what the doubts I have in my heart, no matter what the doubts that the world speaks into me, no matter what I let my brain run 1,000,000 miles a minute, guess what? I can center myself back to, that I can believe in God, that He is who He says He is, that He's got a place for me, and He's coming back to bring me home. I don't know about you, but that puts to death anxiety in my life. See, in the New Testament, there are 318 allusions or direct references to the fact that the Lord is going to return to take us to be with Him personally. Why would there be 318? Why just say it once? Because we need to hear it. We need to remind ourselves of it. We need to echo it over and over and over and over again. When we're singing, we're praising God, like, looking forward to, man, I'm looking forward to eternity. I know you're coming back. Come, Lord Jesus, come. Yes, I am ready to see my Savior face to face. 1 Thessalonians 4 references this. Verse 13 says, but we do not want you to be uninformed, brothers, about those who are asleep, that you may not grieve as others do who have no hope. For since we believe that Jesus died and rose again, even so through Jesus, God will bring Him those who have fallen asleep. For this we declare to you by a word from the Lord. He said it, that who are alive and who are left until the coming of the Lord will not precede those who have fallen asleep. For the Lord Himself will descend from heaven with a cry of command, with the voice of an archangel. The sound of a trumpet of God, the dead in Christ will rise first, and then who are alive, who are left, will be caught up together with them in the clouds to meet the Lord in the air. And so we will also be with the Lord. What's the last verse? Therefore, encourage one another with these words. You're looking for encouragement today, that's it. You're looking for encouragement. You're trying to beat discouragement. You're trying to beat anxiety. You're trying to beat hurt. You as a child of God have the understanding and look forward to God. I'm going to see you face to face in the clouds. See, His return is as certain as His departure. But you're sitting here today and you say, man, Caleb, I love all that you just talked about. Man, I'm for it, I'm in it makes sense. But I still feel lost and confused. I still feel anxious. Nothing you said made me not feel anxious. Well, guess what? You're not alone. So did Thomas. I'm glad Thomas spoke the truth, right? Verse 5, and Thomas said to Him, Lord, we do not know where you are going. How can we know the way? Jesus said to him, I am the way, the truth, and the life. No one comes to the Father except through me. If you had known me, you would have known my Father also. From now on, you do know Him and have seen Him. Thomas asked the question, probably out of confusion, anxiety, worry, pessimism, despair. I don't know where you're going. Man, I don't know where you're going. This is Jesus. Like, okay, I don't know where you're going. I thought about this week. You ever follow somebody on the road, like, hey, follow me, I'm going to take you where they're at, and they go way too fast, you can't keep up? You know what I'm talking about? You're like, they're going 90, you're going 70, you're like, man, I don't want a ticket, and then they run a yellow light, red light, okay, and you're like, man, I'm not going to follow that, and I can't keep up, right? Maybe that's you. Slow down, all right? But that's probably a lot of what Thomas felt. Like, I can't keep up, Lord. I'm trying to. I don't know where you're going. I'm trying to hang on. I'm dragging. Like, I just want to stay with you. I just want to be with you. I just want to have a relationship with you. But you just keep going. I don't know what to do. I don't know the directions. I don't know the way. Jesus says what? I am the way, I am the truth, I am the life. No one comes to the Father but by me. Jesus is the way. He's the truth, and he's the life. See, that response is earth-shattering. See, it's not by law, it's not by good works. You don't get to heaven by doing all these good things and attending church and giving a few bucks in the offering plate. None of that gets you there. It's not until you have a relationship with Jesus that he is the way, he is the truth, he is the life. Confessing your sins, believing in your heart that God is who he says he is. That's how you enter into an eternal relationship with Christ. See, John 14, 1 through 6, man, it is the words of Jesus that help us. That ultimately speak into our anxiety, that overwhelming feelings. Like, man, Caleb, you don't know what's going on in my job this week. I just feel overwhelmed. Maybe you should read John 14, 1 through 6 or 7 every day. I mean, you just don't know what's going on with my kids. I feel lost. I feel anxious. So this is not demeaning. And you're like, man, I think counselors are fantastic. I think sitting down with one is helpful. I think speaking that out is great. When the core of this we come back to as believers in Jesus Christ, our anxiety is put to death when we realize Jesus who he says he is. And he'll do what he said he'll do. And I can look forward to eternity. When I got out of college, I did a sales job actually in California, and then moved to Florida. Did some sales in Florida for a flooring company. And so my territory was Florida and Georgia, and so big territory, so driving all along. So I was a 22-year-old kid, not really knowing much about life at that moment, right? And so trying to navigate, and this was before navigation was on your phone, okay? I know some of you are mind blown. It's not always been on your phone, all right? And so they had these GPS things on your dash that you stuck to the windshield, all right? They're antiques now, all right? And so I didn't even get one of those at this moment. I didn't have one. I was new to the sales world. And I remember driving from Orlando. Orlando, we lived just south of Daytona Beach. And so, man, would I love to be in Daytona Beach today, right? You know, like, all right. But I remember driving down the 528 East. I don't know if you're familiar with Florida. And I would say I was a young, dumb kid, but I still do this. Man, I am the guy that pushes my gas to the very, very little, like it's like, man, just barely make it for me, all right? If that's you, I'm sorry. We're like, right? And so I remember this time I was driving, and if you're on the 528, once you exit Orlando, there is nothing until Titusville, which is over on the coast. All right, there's nothing there. It is swamps. It's nothing. And I remember thinking to myself, man, I'm going to run out of gas. I have no idea where I'm at. And this could get crazy. It was pitch black. It was dark. There's no street lights. I'm like, this could be where I die, right? I'm thinking of this. Honestly, it's just like, I remember driving just feeling hopeless, feeling lost, feeling like I was running out of gas. And like, man, can I just barely make it there? I did end up, actually, it was crazy. I ran out of gas on the exit ramp and rolled right into the gas station, in case you're wondering. True story. But that's not, the finality is not the details of the story. See, the feeling I had was, man, I'm not going to make it. This is probably where I die. I'm lost. It's dark. I don't know where I'm going. Man, navigating this world, this is going to be crazy. I know for a fact you're sitting here today, many of you, feeling that exact feeling. I was sitting here with this message this week thinking, man, I know that feeling. You just feel like, man, I don't got enough in the tank. I'm not sure how I'm going to get through my week. I'm not sure how I'm going to get through my day. My marriage is falling apart. My kids are falling apart. My job, all that, right? I say to you today, let not your heart be troubled. Let not your heart be troubled, regardless of the things of this world. Believe that he is who he says he is. He's gone to prepare a place, and he's coming back to get his children. You can take that to the bank. You can cash that out. It's a guarantee. It's not a I think so. There's no doubt in that statement. There's no I thinks. No, it's a positive. It's a foundational belief for us as Christians, regardless of the storms of this world, regardless of the ups and the downs, the valleys, the hilltops. We know that our hearts don't have to be troubled because we know he is who he says he is, and he'll do what he'll say he'll do. That's what Christ says. Jesus later in John 16, the same conversation. He says, I have said these things to you, that in me you may also have peace. In the world you will have tribulation. But take heart, I have overcome the world. He's overcome the world. So I don't normally do this. I sent a text Friday afternoon to Ferd and Mike. I said, hey, I want to sing a song together on Sunday. They go, what? I said, no, I want a specific song. Like, we haven't practiced. It's not prepared. I'm like, all right, you don't have to do it, but you need to do it. And so they were great sports about it, honestly. And so I just kept echoing Hymn of Heaven by Phil Wickham. And so I know, man, I got to get my kids. You got no place to go. The weather's terrible outside, okay? All right? What I want you to do, come on out. I told them, I want to sing this as a church, and then I'm gonna pray. Pray for some specific people. And then we'll get you out of here, okay? I know we're a little over, but that's okay. It's a terrible March day, right? It is what it is. For us as believers, if we can focus our minds and our hearts, our anxieties, our overwhelming feelings on eternity. You guys coming or what? Come on. You're good. Come on. Cool. So let me do this. Would you stand for me? Would you stand? Please don't wander around. Please don't go get your kids. There's kids people doing great. They got plenty of time, all right? We'll kick them in another program or something, all right? But I thought we could sing this together. As a church, the heart's focused on eternity. I'm going to do this again, not to pick on anybody. How many of you just raised your hand and said, man, I felt overwhelmed. I felt overwhelmed. Right? 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 There's a lot of hands. But maybe center our lives, our hearts around this.